GNASS. Two degenerates, both sides of the border. John Santino, Alex Lacasse. The Great North American Sports Show. Welcome into the final edition of GNASS for 2022. It's been a wonderful time getting to know each and every one of you, our dedicated fans, if you will. I mean, I think they're fans now, Alex, don't you think?
If they're not, we'll have to compel them in the next year. That will be our 2023 project.
I know, right? That's that one of our New Year's resolutions, eh?
I believe
Alex,
it's a super liminal messaging.
Oh, I know, right? But the holiday season is upon us. Alex, have you finished all your Christmas shopping?
Hell no.
Do you think the Red Sox have finished theirs?
Probably.
I mean, with a wallet as big as theirs, I don't think it could ever be done. But I mean,
yeah. When you have a prospect humper in chief, Chaim Bloom, running the show.
Come on, Alex. You know we like to kid on this show. You know we like to kid.
Yeah, no, they're definitely done, and they've ensured a nice last place finish in Rafael Devers' walk here.
Absolutely.
But yes, John, as you mentioned, it's our final show of 2022. We're going to look back at some of the top sports stories that we felt rose to the top of the charts this year. But before that, at long last, Lionel Messi wins his World Cup. John's going to give you his thoughts on, I guess, what I was told was a thrilling final soccer match.
Alex, it was one of the best finals ever. How did you not watch?
There's an issue between myself and the government of Qatar, which I've mentioned on the show plenty of times.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
And so my Patriots make their debut in bad football, and it just happened to coincide in the same week where former Patriots 28-3 sandbag himself, Matt Ryan, choked on an even bigger lead against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Do I have to finally admit that Kirk Cousins is good? I wouldn't hold your breath, North America. We'll discuss what's wrong with the Celtics ahead of their big Christmas Day clash with the new best team in the NBA. That would be the Milwaukee Bucks. And for one final time this year, we'll wrap up with This Week in Social Media and Degenerates Corner. John, I take it you did watch the World Cup final. What were some of your takeaways?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the biggest takeaway, which is Lionel Messi. I think he stuck his claim in and stuck it hard that he's now officially the GOAT, winning his first World Cup, Argentina's first World Cup since 1986. The party's on everywhere in Argentina, especially in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, it would be fun to be there right now.
Oh my God, I would love to be in Buenos Aires. Some of the
and it's summer down there.
I know. And start of summer, about to be Christmas. And of course, if you've seen some of the if you go on Fabrizio Romano, super agent in football, looking at his drone footage of Buenos Aires, absolutely fucking crazy right now. But looking at the game itself, like what happened on the pitch, this is one of the most thrilling end-to-end finals that we've ever seen. Argentina came out flying. They were dominating early. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead behind, of course, Lionel Messi's penalty, and then just a wonderful team goal capped off by Angel Di Maria. And late in the game, man, Argentina started subbing on defenders. They parked the bus, and France just came to life after that. Kylian Mbappe, I think he showed that he is going to very promptly take this GOAT title away from Lionel Messi and ensure that there's really no debate. Man, what a game he had. Lionel Messi, of course, a fantastic game on his part. And shout out to Alexis McAllister on Argentina, who is probably one of the best players in this game, just like running up and down the pitch. He seemed like he was everywhere. And this game, of course, went to penalties where it's a classic French implosion, Alex. Classic French implosion.
Yeah, did they miss like the first?
They missed twice.
Two of their first three or something. And
yep. Kylian Mbappe stepped up to the spot and buried, and then they missed the next two kicks.
Yeah, I guess, from not having watched the game, and I did, I was getting the score updates on my phone. So I saw it from, a very, afar. it just seemed like Argentina wasn't going to let this opportunity slip away.
Yep.
I think the last time they were in the final against Germany, they were just outmatched by a much, much better German team. But it is somewhat ironic that after Lionel Messi takes the Saudi Arabian money to become their future sports washer in chief, when he finally hangs up the spikes, I guess that might be put off for another 4 years because he doesn't want to retire from the national team. But
we'll see. He'll be 39 by that time that rolls around.
right.
So
Yeah, there was like some reports that he doesn't want to retire yet from the national team.
He won't yet, but he by the time the next World Cup rolls around, he will be 39. So he might have potentially aged out at that point.
Sure. But yeah, so it is ironic that for being the best player in the world for his entire career, the World Cup that, after now he's taking this new job with the Saudis after his career ends, that he would win the Slave World Cup in Qatar. So I guess good for him.
I mean, it is ironic, of course, that he would win that. And also, Alex, you forget to mention that in addition to after he hangs up the cleats, he plays for the ultimate Saudi-backed team, Paris Saint-Germain, sponsored by Qatar Airways, and of course, one of the most hated clubs worldwide for really how they do business because they're, everything you mentioned. But that being said, the game itself, like we said, Messi, fantastic. He's the GOAT for now. It's good that he got it done because, like we said, he's gonna age out by the next time this competition rolls around, and quite frankly, like the trajectory of Kylian Mbappe, like I mentioned, and Erling Haaland, who currently plays for Manchester City and Norway, though Norway may never get as far in the World Cup. Absolutely wild in terms of like how good those players have been. But I mean, just going back to,
in your view, what do they need to do to wrestle this mantle away from Messi?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because going back to Messi, like we look at what he, like,
Mbappe does have the World Cup on his resume already.
Exactly. Mbappe already has the World Cup on his resume, but this is really the cherry on the top for Messi. He's won countless Champions League, countless Champions Leagues, countless domestic cups, countless domestic leagues, now in France and Spain. He's one of the most decorated footballers ever. I'm just gonna check on exactly how many Ballon d'Ors because I don't want to get the number wrong. Which is the FIFA World Player of the Year. But he's truly just, I mean, he's a magician, and there's no other way to describe it other than he is the greatest to ever lace him up. And this really, yes, like there is kind of like a bit of a tarnish off the field, Alex, like you mentioned, with all this blood money from Qatar type thing, and it feels very dirty in that respect. But on the field, given how like Argentina values football as a religion and how much this means to the country, it really felt good for Messi to finally step out of Diego Maradona's shadow, because this was the thing he needed to really take that over as that cultural icon in Argentina and really take that final step as being viewed as the GOAT. And not even just the GOAT, and like for all of us outside of Argentina, but there was always that ultimate thing that was holding him back from being the most loved athlete. And this really felt like this was that moment that he finally took that title and finally took that step into being not that he was ever like disliked, but just like he is now the guy. There's no debate anymore. It's not Ronaldo. It's not Maradona domestically. It's not anybody else. It's him.
Mm-hmm. And because certainly the only other player, like for most of his career, that he was up against was Cristiano Ronaldo, and that's the World Cup is still the one thing that's lacking off his resume. But it feels like with this victory, this clearly separates him, and then Cristiano Ronaldo is no longer in this conversation at all.
Yes, sorry, I was just counting how many Ballon d'Ors. Messi 7 Ballon d'Ors and 1 FIFA World Player of the Year. But yes, to that point, it completely puts this to bed with Ronaldo, especially given how Ronaldo exited the tournament, like walking away from his team at times, feeling almost like a problem, getting released,
getting benched, and
getting
he's
benched.
had this unceremonious ouster again from Manchester United.
Yeah, like getting released from Manchester United middle World Cup, fighting with his head coach on Portugal in the middle of the World Cup, like just not a good look for him. And you talked about like what someone like say Kylian Mbappe or Erling Haaland would have to do to pass Lionel Messi. Well, Mbappe has the World Cup. First and foremost, he's going to have to win a shitload of personal awards that Messi has already won and he has not. Starting with all those 7 Ballon d'Ors. And, it's a long, long career that you have to be dominant in order to do that. And for Kylian Mbappe, he's under 23. It's just the start of it. So it's going to be a long road before you get there. Messi, obviously 35. And after this World Cup win, probably looking at his eighth Ballon d'Or. So yeah, like it's going to take a lot for a player to catch him. But I do think specifically Kylian Mbappe has the potential to do it. I just think that, Lionel Messi, I just don't think there can't be enough superlatives said about how good he is on the football field. And I'm a person who very much does not. I'm not a Messi lover by any chance, but he is fantastic to watch.
Definitely. And when we're looking ahead now for the next World Cup, John, it's going to be split all across this great continent of ours. In, of course, Canada, the United States, Mexico. It feels like, with the U.S. making it to the knockout stages, and I think if you are a sports fan in this country, and I mean, I was reporting on what was going on in Qatar 7 years ago. So for me, like, I was out. But for the people that doesn't matter to, and there's a lot more of them than they are of me, I think that they came away from watching this World Cup. I think it's really making headway in the United States. So hosting it again for the first time since 1994, partially hosting it this time around. I think if the U.S. goes on, at least to run to the quarterfinals, that would really, really be a launching point for soccer in this country.
I think the ultimate for this next World Cup in 2026. Like I'm looking at some of the like if you've seen some of the venues, like please look them up. Obviously, like we know some of the like pretty standard ones like Gillette Stadium in New England, BMO Field in Toronto, Vancouver Stadium. Like a lot of these ones, Atlanta Stadium, obviously, like they're very like they're MLS stadiums that are seen around. But even some of the ones in Mexico, like there's one in the mountains that's being built that's absolutely beautiful. Like I think what this World Cup needs to ultimately captivate North America is not just a quarterfinal run, Alex, from the U.S. or Canada or Mexico. I think they need two of these teams to play in an elimination game. I think with the stakes,
that would be good theater for sure.
Yes, with the stakes on the line in a potential neutral ground, like this is something that we quite frankly haven't seen before. And like just because there aren't usually multiple hosts of these tournaments, and I think the
right,
theater
I didn't the Netherlands and Belgium want to put together a bid that ultimately went to Qatar?
Yeah, there's a few that have put together multiple bids. And for example, like we've had past Euro tournaments that are in multi-cities, so it's just not common, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
But point being is that if we could get some sort of theater like this, I think that's what ultimately could propel Canada, US, like Mexico already is, so I'm not gonna like throw them into it, but exactly. But Canada and the US in particular, like I think we've seen what's happening at the grassroots levels with these two nations. Like I think this could propel it even further, especially if the two of us play, man. Like I think that's really what could send this over the top.
For sure. And just quickly, I think the U.S., I think by all accounts, they brought the youngest roster to the World Cup.
One of them, yes.
With the players that they have and that will be coming through in the next 4 years, is it realistic that the United States could make a run to the quarterfinals, maybe even beyond?
Yes, 100%. I think the U.S. is really, really starting to put together a very quality squad. I wouldn't quite throw around the term golden age just yet because I think there's better players to come, but which is kind of scary to think about. But they have some very, very high quality talent. I think one of their biggest things is that the U.S. National program needs to hire an experienced coach, potentially who is not from the U.S. And I know that they want to stay domestic. I get it. It makes a lot of sense, but I think that might be like
they tried to do that with Jurgen Klinsmann, and they did go on.
Yeah, but Jurgen Klinsmann is not someone who has extensive experience, like in the sense that he's not someone who's been ultra successful with like other national teams, to my knowledge. Like I don't believe he had the German national team for that long.
Yeah, I know he did coach the German team, and then he was he did not stay very long.
Let's see. Yeah, 2004 to 2006. So just a 2-year span with the German national team. And then he moved on to Bayern Munich for basically a season and then the United States team. So he's never really, that's what I mean. Like yes, he has a lot of football experience, but he doesn't have a lot of managerial experience. And I think they need someone who has like a proven track record of success doing this.
Definitely. And who would that guy be for you?
Ooh, that's tough because when it comes to international football, like it's always hard to like pick who wants to do it because there's so much more, like quite frankly, like there's more control involved with international football, but much more money potential involved with club football. So it's really hard to see like who's going to go back and forth. Like the hope is that you can get someone who's a systems player who can adapt the system to like what is around like basically what the players that you have in hand, because you're never going to know with a national selection pool. And it's the same idea with Canada. Like I believe John Herdman by the next World Cup will not be the coach for the exact same reason. Like I think they need someone with more experience in these big games. Um, Someone who'd actually be very good at this, but I don't think he's ready for tournament football for either team. Jose Mourinho. He plays what is sometimes called anti-football. Like it's very defensive. He likes to frustrate other teams, and he really focuses on shutting down what makes other teams good. And that's the kind of style of play that makes teams go really, really far in tournament football. And that would be the kind of coach that I think would do well with a team like the US. Like very athletic, the midfield, very workmanlike with guys like Tyler Adams and Wes McKennie. So very athletic guys who can cover a lot of ground. And I think that would be the kind of coach that they should look for.
All right. So we'll shift gears here, John, from the height of global football competition.
Yes, the
Here domestically, we're going to the pits of gridiron football. It's time for bad football on GNASS, and we're gonna get to the Patriots, but first we have to start with Saturday, John, with Matt Ryan. You know, I don't. To be fair to Matt Ryan, the Colts, I don't think anyone saw them building a 33-point halftime lead against a successful football team this season in the Minnesota Vikings. But
nobody saw them winning for sure. But yeah, it's
to blow a 33-point lead to set the new record for an NFL comeback in losing to the Minnesota Vikings. Like, John, how the hell did this happen?
It just had to be Matt Ryan. That's all I'm gonna say. It just had to be Matt Ryan. Like, and seeing that graphic of the 28-3 and then him now with like the 33-0 graphic at halftime, like, and man, like it's hard. I feel like, especially with these situations in Matt Ryan, it's a snowball effect. Like it feels almost like he's Shane Falco describing that scene in The Replacement's about quicksand.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
How about you, Alex?
I kind of, one person I do feel bad for here is Frank Reich, in that when he was head coach of the Colts, this directive came down from the ownership. All right, this season's a lost cause. You have to start Sam Ehlinger. And then they lose the Patriots in spectacular fashion, and Frank Reich gets fired, and then this replacement fresh out of the ESPN studios and Jeff Saturday is allowed to go back to Matt Ryan in the veteran presence. And I mean, granted, if Sam Ehlinger starts that football game, maybe the Vikings are up 33-0 at halftime and they're cruising to victory. It's just I mean, credit to the Vikings for sticking around and making it a game. And it just really goes to show you, in the NFL, if you can't manage the game properly, if there's time on the clock, no lead is safe.
Yep, 100%. And especially if you have a team that can move the ball as well as the Vikings with Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, like it's a tall order defending him even when it's a close game. But well, I mean, it's you should be able to put it in, or excuse me, put it to bed with when you're up 33-0. I'd like to think so, but man, like Alex, let's flip this around for a second, because I don't want to. I think that we've said enough in terms of Matt Ryan. Sorry, bro.
Barstool does that, those quarterback power rankings, and then one of the categories is too old for this shit, and it's been like Matt Ryan and Tom Brady in that box pretty much all season.
Let's be real.
Matt Ryan is too old for this shit.
You're too old for this shit when the Colts trade for you.
Right? Yeah,
that's pretty much how that's been going down lately.
To die since Peyton Manning has left there.
But Alex, let's flip this around. Kirk Cousins comes back from 33 points down. He is now the NFL's regular season comeback king. Is he legit?
No.
What? No, I'm kidding.
Not at all. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys where until he actually does it, and he does it for, the Vikings probably aren't going to come away with the bye this year. If he does it in 4 playoff rounds, and with the 4th being the Super Bowl, I'll eat crow live on this show, John. I will just find a bird outside, bring it snack, and just eat
Respect.
eat it right on this program. I don't see it with this guy. I think like in the Vikings, their point differential for a team that's that good is just off the charts in terms of, we've never seen a team that's done this well, or at least record wise, with such a mediocre point differential. And so I think the Vikings, they got a lot of dumb luck. I mean, you go into Buffalo, you have this, it took a miracle reception on 4th and 18 and you screw up that final drive. It takes the Bills puking on themselves, not once, but twice, to pull out that game. And then you get smacked by the Eagles in Philadelphia, who you're going to have to go play probably in in January, outdoors. And Minnesota's a dome team. We know that. I'm not a believer. I am not a believer in Kirk Cousins. And
their vibe is very that last year the Giants were good, like when they went 11-5. I think it was like 2015 or 16 with Odell Beckham Jr. and Eli Manning. They basically went 11-5. They won a ton of 1-score games. And when the playoffs came around, an elite quarterback in Aaron Rodgers came by and waxed them in Green Bay. And I have a weird feeling that's going to happen to the Vikings this year, just because they're building up a lot of momentum. To your point, a lot of 1-score victories, and that is not a recipe for success because it doesn't reek of dominance.
No, and I think the issue here with Kirk Cousins, like Joe Flacco, they had that one run in 2011 where because he'd kind of been a slight underachiever based on where he was drafted and how he was hyped up coming into the NFL. He goes on this miracle run in the postseason, doesn't throw an interception. I think it was like 12 touchdowns and like 0 interceptions that year. Can Kirk Cousins do something like that? I'm not quite sure. Like Joe Flacco kind of had this like quiet confidence about him, like this quiet swag. Kirk Cousins, it's just like it's
Kirk
maddening.
Cousins,
like
Kirk Cousins wears all the chains on the plane, man.
Yeah, and it's like almost like anti-charisma. Like I don't like it. And the whole Creed thing. Like I think he's like Phillip Rivers light. Like in his relationship with the Lord. So good luck there, Minnesota.
I leave it to Minnesota to find a way to not get an elite quarterback. But Alex, I think we've dwelled on the Vikings enough. Kirk Cousins, we'll see it come playoff time if he's for real or if he's not. But one thing we did see in another game this weekend was arguably the worst last second play call of all time. And Alex, this was courtesy of your New England Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be my Patriots for much longer at this rate.
Yeah, that was, I'm not going to lie, that was fucking hard to watch, dude.
What
were they thinking?
I mean, in the NFL, when you're on, depending on your quarterback, if you're on, at the very least, if you're on your 45-yard line and you need a last second, obviously there was still overtime hanging over this game. You could have just taken a knee and played in overtime. But if you're on the 45-yard line, you got to chuck the ball in the end zone on the last play of the game. Patriots didn't do that. And Belichick after the game is like, well, couldn't throw it there. And I don't believe that. I think this was another instance of the Patriots setting Mac Jones up to fail, in that you run a draw, you run
HB draw UCLA.
And obviously the players, they want to make something happen. And like they call either need to be, we're throwing this thing in the end zone or we're taking a knee and we're just going to overtime. this whole in between thing, like they only have three down linemen. Like,
So,
let's hand
Han,
off and try to bust one.
Alex,
And
Han. So, do you think the play call was to do the lateral?
I I can't imagine any football coach, because again, the play call needed to be, we're throwing this ball into the end zone. I saw a tweet that like Mac Jones had to throw to Jalen Waddle when he was at Alabama, from their own 40-yard line. He threw it flat-footed and he threw it 55 yards in the air. So Mac Jones has the arm to get that ball into the end zone. For whatever reason, the Patriots thought that was a worse alternative than handing the ball off, which doesn't make any sense.
So, like, let's start with this. Who is to blame for this play? Would it be? I think it was Jacoby Myers who threw the lateral back to Chandler Jones for the walk-off win.
Yeah, the blame on this play, you can't blame the coaching staff, as inept as they are. And
what? So there's no chance the coaches called this.
I don't think that. I think the coach. I think the coach is called the run, but I don't think the play didn't come in and would be like, "Hey guys,
because I can't imagine like why in your right mind you would lateral at that. Like if there's 3 seconds left and it's tied.
Right, exactly. Like, or at least half-ass the lateral, and like you're trying to throw it to someone nearby who like might get tackled. Don't throw it all the way back to midfield across like 5 or 6 different defenders, and so.
And
like
pure
the Patriots
poetry.
Is just a clown show. Like if the Patriots, if Bill Belichick wasn't coaching the New England Patriots, they're looking at like a 3 or 4 win football team.
Pure poetry too. The Chandler Jones got the walk-off win.
Yeah. No, you don't want pass rushers. Like you don't want good. Like God forbid you have good players. Like it was obviously Chandler Jones, the draft pick of the Patriots, and they win 2 Super Bowls when he's in town, or at least one. He was on the Seahawks for the Seahawks Super Bowl. And
it's for sure one. I can find out the exact number in a second.
He was a legit, he was a first round pick that became a legitimate NFL player.
Just
not a butt. Like he's an elite, borderline elite pass rusher. And now you don't want to pay that guy. So now you trade him for a second, a guard that you end up cutting.
Alex, what do you mean borderline elite? He's like an NFL all-decade team player.
He's pushing it. I feel like there's there's so many elite pass rushers. You look at guys like
I wouldn't say he's like the best.
He's not on the level with like Mac, with the Bosa's.
So for defensive, he made it for linebacker with Khalil Mack and Von Miller as linebacker defense for the all-decade team.
Okay, so he's right there. I guess I put him below those 2 other guys, but
so do I.
I think if you're going to tell me he's the 3rd best pass rusher of his time, like okay, I wouldn't. I'm not going to die on that hill that he's not. So I don't know if there's any quick fixes for the Patriots, and I think with their coaching, with their preparation, the floor for the Patriots is like a 6-7 win football team.
Well, here's the thing. So if here's the thing. What is the ceiling first?
Right now, as they currently operate, they are the ceiling. If Mac Jones continued developing on the trajectory that he was last year, 10-7.
So, okay, that's not too bad. But ultimately, do you think this team is prepared to move to the future as a contender?
No. Not with unless Bill Belichick wants to finally admit that in order to succeed in the NFL in 2023, you need top 10 play at the quarterback position, and you need an elite pass catcher or 2 to go along with.
Yeah, but we've seen that Bill Belichick is not accepting of that. So has he ultimately run his course in New England?
Let's see how the coaching staff shakes out this offseason. If Belichick digs in his heels and says nope, I need Matt Patricia as my offensive coordinator, I need Joe Judge's, whispering sweet nothings into Mac Jones's ear.
Oh God.
Then yeah, I'd clear house and bring in Sean Payton. Absolutely.
Joe Judge left town and Daniel Jones got better, man. I don't think you want that guy whispering sweet nothings in anybody's ears.
No, I don't. I do not want him whispering sweet nothings in my 3rd year quarterback's ears. And I think this is also like, this is a take that I've been hesitant to throw out, but I honestly think the Patriots don't care about developing Mac Jones until he's ready to sign an extension for pennies on the dollar for other
Yeah, I could see
than
that. I could see
for
that.
like a like severe hometown discount, because if he plays mediocre for his first 3 years, but they think he at least cerebrally can play the game and process the game the way that needs to be processed in the NFL, yeah, like maybe you suppress his stats for a number of years, and then when that rookie time for that extension comes around, you can't ask for top of the market dollars. Like, it seems like every quarterback extension with guys that have any success, they just always, whoever's next to get paid, whether or not he might be a slight downgrade from the last guy who got paid, it doesn't matter, because all of these NFL teams know that. And I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but it's just, that's what the market is.
Alex, I mean, if you think about it, if you're thinking cap first, that's the strategy, man. You hang Mac out to dry. He signs an extension for pennies on the dollar. All of a sudden, you turn him into an elite player. But I mean, let's be real. Who gets that much better in year 6?
Yeah, I mean, there aren't a lot of guys that do that, but again, the Patriots, for whatever reason, they want to do things their own way, and
got to respect that to a degree.
Yeah, we haven't seen it be successful without the greatest quarterback of all time under center. So, I mean, is it? I mean, Belichick's a 500 coach without Tom Brady under center. So it's looking more and more like that's a problem. Like, I think a lot of these, coaches like Sean McVay, the guy, Sean McDermott, guys that are having success now, they know how vitally important it is to have elite level quarterback play.
Oh,
and
it's the
Belichick doesn't want to. Belichick won't concede that. And
Alex, come on, man, it's the one thing you need if you're gonna win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't have. I mean, I think you can. You don't need the, best 3 guys in the game, because the NFL, the NFL MVPs are primarily won by quarterbacks, and an MVP hasn't won the Super Bowl since 1999 and Kurt Warner, the greatest show on turf. So I don't think you
in the
need
same
like
season. In the same season.
Yeah, yes, yeah, in the same season. You don't need that, top 3 quarterback play. You just need a guy who is good and you can win in all sorts of ways with him. Like, maybe if you start fast and you hang on for dear life,
you need a guy who's not going to call a lateral with 3 seconds
left
in the game.
You go down 21-0 in the first, in the first quarter. You have maybe a fumble recovery for a touchdown or a muff punt or whatever. You get down early. You need a guy that's going to, keep coming back. And the way the Patriots are right now, like if they get down 13-0, forget about it. Even though they got down 16-0 in this game and they clawed back into it, went up by a touchdown. You get screwed again in the end by a call in the end zone. So like, it would have been interesting to see, if that game tying touchdown pass gets called out of bounds, which it was. How would the Raiders have done? That guy's toes was out of bounds. Like that was on the I mean, the fact that Hunter Henry touchdown got called short in, or what was called incomplete in on the Thanksgiving game, and then that's called out of bounds. Like, both of those can't go against you.
Alex, you got to remember, referees don't have a standard.
That's true. Yeah, no, let's just make it up as we go along.
That's more fun, isn't it?
Right. And I mean, yeah, but if both of those calls go the other way, maybe the Patriots have 2 more wins, and I'm not bashing them on the Christmas and New Year's edition of GNASS.
Alex, we have to be thankful for that call, because if it wasn't for that call, we wouldn't have gotten the greatest ending play call of all time.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots, that and the Miami Miracle when you put Rob Gronkowski as your deep safety.
Legendary.
To lose those moments. 2 games the way that they did. Like, the Patriots, they at least make it interesting, even when they're mediocre.
Not only interesting, entertaining.
Yeah, entertainingly mediocre. If Nathaniel Hackett by some miracle hangs onto the job, Maybe we'll have just a Patriots exclusive segment called spectacularly mediocre football. And when we need to talk Patriots. But we'll wrap up the football conversation for this week. And quickly on open court, John, my Celtics didn't really impress on the West Coast leading into this big Christmas matchup on Sunday.
I mean, one thing that is positive for the Celtics is it does appear like Jason Tatum is pulling ahead. Well, Jason Tatum and Zion Williamson are pulling ahead in this MVP race. So there is some positives out of this.
An MVP award, John. I need an 18th banner in the Raptors.
Alex, that's what I was about to say, though. 82 practices, my man. 82 practices. Goose Fraba. Don't get mad, man. It's 82 practices. You're going to lose some probably to the worst teams. And the key there is you just play it off like it's load management.
The Magic were 1-11 on the road entering this week, and they played 2 games in Boston and improved their record to 3-11.
Come on, man. Just pretend it was load management. We know it's not,
well,
but just
pretend.
Again,
just pretend. Tatum got his load management. He didn't play at all in that second game against the Magic. Ironically, that was the closer one, but go figure. But I think I would have liked to. You go into Phoenix and you completely stomp the Suns. And on one hand, I'd like to say that that's a really good win, but you don't learn anything in a 40-point blowout. It just the Suns just didn't show up for a night.
That's true, but one positive this past week is the Celtics did get Big Bob back, so Big Bob is ready to play.
Right, and every time I see him on the court, I'm like, oh, he's gonna twist his ankle, isn't he?
It's you got to remember the main goal for the Celtics. They're a wagon. The main goal needs to be get to the playoffs. It doesn't matter if you lose some games along the way.
I want them to get the 1 seed because, especially with Chris Middleton back on the Bucks, I want that Game 7 in Boston against Milwaukee. Fair. And so they do need to, they got to finish above the Bucks. And so therefore, the regular season does matter. And I guess my concern with the Celtics is Joe Mazzulla, the head coach, what happens when this team starts struggling on offense? And I think that's, there's regression. You can't come out that hot. I think if you combine the Celtics roster, they were, going ahead of this West Coast road trip, they would have finished as a team collectively 50% from the floor, 40% from 3, 90% shooting free throws. And it looks, now they come back to earth a little bit. You have a 20-point lead in the second half against a bad Lakers team. Let them go break a 33-5 run and go up 13 points. You have to scramble to tie that game and get it to overtime and come back. It was the second night of a back-to-back. The Lakers were also gassed. But there's still signs that they settle for jump shots. They can't get to the basket when they need to. It's all right, the jump shots aren't falling. We need to change, and they just don't. They're well, if we keep shooting them, some of them will probably go in. And
shooters got to shoot, Alex. Shooters got to shoot.
Shooters also when you have the talent to get to the basket, you gotta. No. The Bucks won that championship from the mid range against the Suns.
Not just that, it's because when Giannis wants to get to the basket, he's getting to that bucket. And the Celtics quite don't have that tour de force, so to speak, just yet about them. But there is time for them to round into form, my friend. I mean, we are still somewhat early in the season for that kind of deal.
For sure. I guess we're going to take a little break here on GNASS, and we'll be back with our top sports stories of 2022. And Bill Belichick isn't done here on GNASS, so
oh boy.
But it's a funny grudge holding. So don't flinch, don't move an inch, and we'll be right back, just like your hairline.
The best grudge holder in sports, and we're back. As we mentioned, today is it's our final show of 2022. So Alex, I guess it's time to review, not really the whole year because we're never going to capture the whole year, but what was your most favorite moments of 2022 in the sporting world?
So I guess in terms of storylines, I think I have 3. And granted, because for the folks at home who haven't figured it out already, my 2 favorite sports are basketball and baseball. So I look there, and I guess a quick NFL thought. If in terms of baseball, the Houston Astros, the way that this regular season, they go on a tour de force through the postseason. led by World Series MVP Jeremy Pena. He has the go-ahead home run, and the only run scored in that Game 3 of the series against the Mariners. I think the Astros, they've put behind 2017 the fact that they came back and won another one with a slightly retooled roster. I think that goes a long way to validate that what they've built these past 5 years, call it. And they're almost like a more successful version of the Atlanta Braves from the Braves winning all those divisions in the 90s. Like, no one's come close to touching them in the AL West. But now that you got 2 World Series to show for it, Atlanta only pulled 1 out of there. In basketball, the Warriors winning another championship after there were some questions whether the core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson could make it back after they lose to Toronto. And the young guys really haven't quite come along yet, even though there was enough of a supporting cast there to propel them. And they got a lot of help for the Celtics turning the ball over. So, and then quickly on football, I think the Rams, by winning this Super Bowl, put to bed a lot of this notion that, you can't trade these draft picks. God forbid, your 4th round pick becomes some diamond in the rough. Like,
also,
yes,
legendary.
The Rams are paying for it this year, but they said, F the future. We got to cast it. We got a roster that can win right now. And damn it, there's going to be no expenses unpaid for us not to go for it. And credit to them that they won it.
Also, really quickly on that, legendary press conference when they're like, "Fuck them draft picks."
Yes. So, and then probably the last one for me, and we led the show with it. It's the World Cup, and I don't care who won. It's the fact that this was an abomination. This was a slow rolling public abomination that for the better part of 7+ years, and no one had the courage to say, we just can't do this. And so I think the number that we need to take away from the World Cup is 6,500, and that's 6,500 migrant laborers who died in the poor working conditions of Qatar. And so that can't be driven home enough here. And that's probably the biggest thing for me. John, what caught your eye this year?
Ooh, I'd say lead off the World Cup for the many things you mentioned. This was as you mentioned, the most political World Cup that's happened. No one pulled out. We did see some acts of protest from fans, from teams, statements from players, even the other chancellors who showed up to sit with FIFA president, Gianni Infantino. But as we know, FIFA, a very corrupt organization, and went forward with the tournament anyway. That resulted in Lionel Messi's first World Cup, which, as we talked about, big for his legacy, but on the field, but off the field, raising some eyebrows, to say the least. Let's see, what else was there? I'd say the second one, in terms of it wasn't a positive story. That's why I'm reacting this way. But the second one would be essentially the awakening, so to speak, at Hockey Canada, where it was discovered that Hockey Canada was covering up sexual assaults with multiple funds that were essentially given from youth players to play the game. And these were high-profile players. We're still looking to find out who they are. The case is ongoing, and soon there will be, I don't like saying things like that, but more or less, there will be hell to pay, because it seems like some of these players are in the NHL, are making millions of dollars, and will be potentially convicted of crimes that are, quite frankly, unspeakable. And you don't deserve the privilege to play hockey if you're doing things like that. And on a positive note, I'd say the final story I wanted to touch on was the return of the Golden State Warriors. The modern NBA dynasty is back. It's something positive. They play basketball the right way. They've built a program that, as we've seen it, tried and tested.
Oh yeah, no, I respect the hell out of the Warriors.
I know, and it's just seeing them back. That's all. Just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, did it without Kevin Durant this time,
and without Kevin Durant without Kevin Durant.
This is the first time around. I think they were a little more of like kind of the little engine that could. and they were really coming in there. They had a great supporting cast. Like I love Sean Livingston. Like Sean Livingston was the perfect player for that Warriors team.
Yeah, way back the first iteration of the Warriors was Sean Livingston, and especially the bigger parts of the team when they played the death lineup being Andre Iguodala and
Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut starting center. Yeah,
Andrew Bogut starting center and Harrison Barnes. Because it would be Bogut started center, Harrison Barnes is one of the forwards, Iguodala would come on for Bogut. That would be your death lineup. And Bogut too, reinventing himself as like the alt defensive center. And then that's really shifted to this like super offensive machine led by Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, not led by, but complemented by those two players. And of course, based around the big three of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond
Andrew
Green.
Wiggins getting to Golden State is what was really the perfect fit for him. Like he needed to get his career back on track.
It's exactly that. And surrounded by shooters, he can just do what he's good at, which is cutting to the basket and getting a hoop. So fantastic fit. Great story as well, getting the dynasty back on track. And what's going to be crazy is just seeing where they end up once they call it a career. But hopefully that's years from now. Alex, let's move to this week in social media, because sometimes the world moves a little bit too fast and we like to slow it down and capture some of the moments that appear on what can be good, but mostly is a cesspool that is social media. Alex, what would you like to touch on this week?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about the Patriots in bad football, but this is fun. Bill Belichick, Peyton Manning was
he's not fun too often either.
Peyton Manning was telling a story on the Manning cast when the Patriots were on Monday Night Football last week against the Cardinals, and he was telling a story because Parcells was supposed to be the AFC coach in the Pro Bowl that year. He had a health issue and bowed out, so we sent Belichick in his place. And Belichick needed a last-minute add to the AFC Pro Bowl roster. And so Peter Boulware, who was a Ravens linebacker, I believe, I think that's the position he played. So Boulware, he got a $1 million bonus in his contract if he made the Pro Bowl. And so Belichick, because certainly he was the last coach of that iteration of the Cleveland Browns. He was fired by Browns owner Art Modell when he moved the team to Baltimore to become the Ravens. And so Belichick, to get back at the owner, picks up Boulware for the AFC Pro Bowl roster and force Art Modell to pay another $1 million to his players. So
classic Belichick.
I do respect long-held grudges, and so good for Bill for holding strong on that. John, where are you going for your social media shout outs?
The hoodie never forgets. My social media shout out is what has been an early Christmas season in Argentina because of this World Cup win. The first link, of course, please go to Fabrizio Romano's page. Look at the Twitter footage of Buenos Aires, as this shit is absolutely wild. The streets are filled. They're singing. They're partying. They're happy that they have their first World Cup since 1986. Yes, a little bit tainted, but congrats, Argentina, on your first World Cup since 86. I know what this means to the nation. Like I was saying, that like worship Diego Maradona and now worships Lionel Messi. And congrats to them. Congrats to the early football season. And please continue with your Argentine fuckery. Alex, I think it's time for Degenerate's Corner.
It's Degenerate's Corner time.
Sometimes she goes, sometimes it does. She didn't go. It's the way she goes.
22 black, 22 black. Ass, son of a bitch.
Fucking way she goes, he said.
Oh, no. Why did I bet the company payroll? Oh, Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Can the boys beat the number? We'll find out on Degenerate's Corner.
It's the way she goes, buddy. Fucking way she goes.
Yes, John. I at least hope, I don't know if our listeners and viewers out there have been following my NFL teasers, but I at least hope you are, because I had another winner.
You're on fire right now. Like on fire.
Last week, Bills needed that last second field goal. That was the closest we came here, but they got the job done in the snow. Covered the laying 1.5. The Steelers, they went outright against the crappy Panthers down in Carolina. So didn't even need that change in our pocket with the +8. Actually, no, excuse me. No, looking at the wrong week here. Stand by. Yeah, Steelers won outright. Yeah, they won by 8 points, and I just needed them to lose by no more than 9. The 49ers and the Seahawks stayed under the number. Geno Smith with not quite the
Classic Geno
inspiring
Smith
performance. He was a classic Geno Smith against the 49ers, led by Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. John, how'd your best bet do?
My best bet, I went for straight value in this best bet. So I was betting on a magical run from Morocco. Instead, we got the continued brilliance of Kylian Mbappe and the French national team. So, like we said, unfortunately lost that one, but excuse me, we're looking for value. So,
and
gotta bet value where you can.
Just missed out on my parlay, John, as I tweeted the other, last week. Everything was going all right, but I think it was the first Saturday of the bowl season. It was first Saturday, second game on the schedule. No, third game on the schedule. It was I think it was the LA Bowl. It was Jimmy Kimmel's LA Bowl. It was Washington
Jimmy
State
Kimmel's
and
LA Bowl
in Fresno State. And one team came to play. We need to go over 54.5. Didn't quite get there, but because everything else had allowed me to hedge out of it, so I still came away not empty-handed. But no one cares about that. John,
gotta take the cash outs where you can, man. Gotta take them.
It wasn't a true cash out. It was a hedge. I just said all right because the number stated it was. I think I had 54.5, and the number was the closing total was 54, so I hit the under there.
Okay.
John, let's move on to your best bet this week. Where are you going?
So my best bet, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm going to take the Jaguars on the money line against the New York Jets.
You pinch your nose.
So this one's tough, but I think Trevor Lawrence is finally starting to figure this out. Over his last 6 games, the Jags are 4-2. Mr. Lawrence is absolutely destroying the world. He has a passer rating of 111, 1,680 yards, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 6 games. I think he's going to keep the hot streak rolling against the lowly Jets squad that is really, really struggling of late when we thought there could have been a football renaissance in New York. So I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence to win this game outright and the Jags at a cool and calm -105. Alex, what about you?
You ask like there's a legitimate question to be had. Of course, we're going back to the well, John.
You got
another
the well is on fire.
Another 3-team NFL teaser coming at you this week. It pays out +160. If you're new to GNASS here, these have been killing it all fall through the football season. What we do is we take the line and we move it 6 points or the total. We move it 6 points to better favor our position. So we'll start with the Bills going into Soldier Field in Chicago, playing the Bears. They're 8.5-point road favorites. We're gonna tease them down to 2.5. So we're inside the key number of 3. Ravens are 7-point favorites over the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons bench Marcus Mariota, and I think everybody else on the Falcons was cool tanking except for Marcus Mariota. So Desmond Ridder maybe has a future ahead of him, but I think the Ravens take care of business and they can easily cover as 1-point favorites in this teaser. And so the Eagles, this one's complicated. So you can play the teaser with 2 legs.
They screwed me too.
Sticking to my guns here. There's some doubt that Jalen Hurts is going to play this week for the Eagles. I don't care, John, because they're, when I took this bet, the Eagles were 3.5-point dogs. The Cowboys, maybe you can make this teaser with an even better number on the Eagles right now, but we're going to tease them up to 9.5. Gardner Minshew is a solid backup in the NFL. He's got a lot to the guy thinks he should be a starter in this league. And hell, I take Minshew over Mac Jones at this point. I really would.
Minshew's a baddler. He's a baddler. And
yes,
you got to respect that.
And the mustache is absolutely killer.
Legendary mustache.
Legendary mustache. So
pre-game outfits, absolutely off the charts.
Yes. So we got the Eagles. So I tease the Eagles up to +9.5. 10 points is a lot to cover in the NFL, given that the Cowboys struggled. Granted, the Cowboys are at home, but they struggled in Houston when you still got to figure at least half the stadium are Cowboys fans in Houston. I don't think that many people defected to the Texans when they became new again. So I still like the Eagles. They should be able to stay within 10 points of the Cowboys. Might not win this one. Even, Jalen Hurts might play by some miracle. So I think that based on here, stand by. Let's see what the live number. Let's see what the current number is right now. Stand by, stand by, stand by. We're standing by. So it's moved up to 6. So yeah, you can be past the key number of 10 if you want to use the Eagles up here. So but if you're a little gun shy, which I can't say I blame you, seeing the number at 6 is a kind of a old nut tap. But I'm confident in this, and
Respect.
But I'm gonna put an asterisk on it in case this one is the one that doesn't hit. Then I'm still gonna reserve the right to go back to the well in the new year for maybe one last teasure.
Buddy, John, this will not be the last time the well is visited.
Yes, wild card weekend. John, let's move on to your long shot and your parlay, or parlay.
So my parlay is going to be an NFL Christmas parlay. We're going to just hit all these. It's an NFL money line Christmas parlay. Unfortunately, like you, Alex, I had some money on the Eagles, but I thought Jalen Hurts was going to be playing this game. I took this bet before he was injured, but I'm going to stick to my guns because, like you said, Cowboys don't like primetime, my friend. Not at all. So we're going to take the Eagles versus the Cowboys.
It would be like the Cowboys to lose the division to the Eagles backup quarterback on Sunday Night Football.
Yep. Then we're going to go, like we were saying, the Jags versus the Jets. Trevor Lawrence on fire. Hopefully he has that continue. We're going to take the Chiefs versus the Seahawks because, let's be real, I don't think Geno Smith has beaten Pat Mahomes. The Vikings versus the Giants. Kirk Cousins seems to have some mid-season magic. Let's hope he can keep that going. And, of course, we have the Lions. I'm going to take them to beat the Panthers. The Lions, a sneaky, solid team this year. 500 right now. Surprising. Well, they're better than the Packers, of course.
I wouldn't generally put Lions and solid in the same sentence ever.
But they're creeping in that direction.
They're a mediocre. I think they're a mediocre team with a good offense.
Yeah, and
that's more the Patriots are a mediocre team with a shitty offense.
That's the thing. They can score. They can cause you fits because they can score points. So I think they're going to cause the Panthers a fit because the Panthers. I'm not trusting in their situation right now at all. I think the Panthers really, if everything was working out the way they wanted, they'd be like in the world. So that being said, that is our NFL Christmas parlay. Eagles, Jags, Chiefs, Vikings, Lions for a total line of plus 1130. Alex, what is your Christmas parlay? Christmas or New Year's? Parlay
so we do have some Christmas NBA and NFL in this parlay.
Okay.
But because we can't wait, here on the Generous Corner, we're like kids on Christmas. We got to get the action started tonight. So we're going to go to the NBA. Hornets are in Sacramento tonight. The Hornets are a bad team, and the Kings are
not a great team.
Better than they've been in the last 20 years. So let's get the Kings on the money line. They're pretty heavy favorites tonight. I got one hockey bet in here, John, and we have the Golden Knights on the money line against the Sabres tonight in Vegas. Also one college basketball game. University of San Francisco playing at home against the University of Texas Arlington. I don't even know what conference UT Arlington plays in. San Francisco's been building a solid team out in. They're not Gonzaga, but in terms of the West Coast Conference, they're a pretty solid team. So I like that to take care of business. Then we're moving on to the Christmas holiday. We'll start with the NBA slate. I'll take. It's Christmas, so I think Philadelphia should be able to take care of business. The Knicks are like the one anti-home court teams get up to go and play in Madison Square Garden, so I think Philadelphia should cover laying 2 points. I do have a personal thing of never betting on anything the Knicks are associated. I just can't pin down the Knicks for the life of me, but it's a short number, and I like Philadelphia to take care of business. Bucks Celtics. Unsure of the side. Maybe if we recorded the show after Wednesday's game against the Pacers, who can't play any defense, see how the Celtics do. But I'm going to go over with Bucks Celtics. It's over 222.5. Let's just score some points on Christmas. You know, the two best teams in the NBA. Like, let's get after it. And then we're gonna move on to our NFL games on Christmas Eve. I also have this Chiefs money line over the Seahawks, and I'm gonna take the Raiders +3 on Christmas
There we
Eve.
go.
In
Raiders.
Pittsburgh, the Steelers, or excuse me, the Patriots, certainly when McDaniel's a large part of this, the Patriots have always been able to figure out the Steelers defense. And I think Josh McDaniels will be able to coach it up. Steelers are going nowhere fast.
They can't score points either, the Steelers.
And probably Trubisky's going to be starting. So, or do they want to run Mason Rudolph out there? Either way, at least the Raiders, they're still technically alive. So they got something to play for on Christmas Eve. And then I put the Bucks in here against the Cardinals. The Cardinals just look like a train wreck, and I think the upset of the NFL season will be if Cliff Kingsbury gets fired before Nathaniel Hackett. But I think these are both two guys going to be looking for a job come Black Monday in the NFL after that regular season finale.
Nathaniel Hackett, man, that guy, the owner loves him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have fired him after like week 6. So the fact that he's hung on this long is that is quite the feat unto itself. And so yeah, altogether that pays out 26.73.
Ooh, tasty line, my friend. We gotta get some tasty lines before Christmas because you gotta make
some tasty odds. And hey, the couple I've been close on a couple lately. I hit one of these parlays like a month ago, so just need one to hit.
Plus, you got to make back that holiday shopping money. So
yeah, exactly. It's putting a dent in me. I'm just thinking about the credit card bills.
Right. So, Alex, may the odds forever be in your favor.
Oh, why? Thank you, John, and same to you.
Thank you, sir. Alex, any parting thoughts for our listeners, our viewers, all those who have been close to us this year?
Merry non-denominational holiday season to all of our lovely listeners.
I had to think about that for a second.
And our viewers, thank you for supporting the show. John, this has been great. I think we're off and running. I can't wait to see where we take the show in the next year, and we might even have a special. We don't want to spoil.
We got some things in the works.
We got a few things in the works, and GNASS will be well on its way to conquering the sports landscape on this great continent. But you won't find out unless you're like, subscribe, hit the bell, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, social media at the GNASS on Twitter, Instagram, my face, your face, all of them. Check them out.
Got the snip feed, the thing feed, but Alex, you said it best, man. Have a safe and happy holiday season to everyone. All the best. Please stay healthy, stay warm, because it's fucking cold here. And like we said, all the best, and hopefully the Leafs win a goddamn cup, which they won't.